Alright peeps, Tuckles Tuesday. So, we've covered a lot, right, in the first few weeks. Right, the key thing we did was a nice introduction, I think, to start was off. So we had a nice intro week where we just talked about kind of what's a data culture, right? And now we're getting into some more about the whole, actually, there's three areas around a data culture that you need to kind of cover, right? There's your people, your processes, and you'll find out. So what we've really covered so far is your people side. So we've got to get our senior leadership team to actually support what's going on within our data culture and understand the vision of our data culture. We then need to make sure that we've got everybody in the business on board with the idea of a data culture and what it is, and understanding the roles and responsibilities of those who are going to interact with the data. Now, that leads us straight in to our second pillar, right? The nice bit here, right? Your processes. So your processes are going to be key to a data culture, aren't they? Because ultimately your data culture is reliant on your processes, and your processes are going to be reliant on your data culture. Oh, man. Like, it's a loop. The two go together. You can't have one without the other. And what do I mean by that? So if we look at a process, and here's like a nice, basic sort of, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, blah, 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 right? And we're going to talk about this if we were looking at, say, our sales process here. So we've got phase 1, which might be what generate a quote. So our customers rung up and say, oh, I'd really like to buy this, whatever it is I saw in your catalogue or in your advert. Right? Yeah, so that's going to trigger some actions. So there's going to be actions, triggers, data points generated from there. And that's going to feed in to your analytics engine and your analytics modeling. And then you're going to have the confirmation. So the contract maybe be signed, some sort of, I accept that quote, that's great, I'll buy that from you, it's dead good on that. Other customers are available, don't forget, right? And again, there's actions that relate to that. We're going to do something. There's going to be triggers. So, like, the signed contract has returned. Move to the next phase. A quote has been received. Let's initiate that a contract needs to be sent out. There's triggers. And there's data. Again, that's going to be collected. The confirmation, the payment terms, right? Heads to manufacturing, yada, 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 yada. And eventually, we'll get paid. Hey, we got paid. That's nice, right? But the key thing is, throughout each and every step in your process, you've got these three things happening. You've got actions, you've got triggers, you've got data points, okay? And then don't forget, for each phase within your process, it's another phase. Processes go down, they go down, they go down. And as you drill into the detail, you find there's other processes within your processes that you need to unpick. So part of this is about understanding. I'm not going to get bogged down by the whole process within a process within a process within a process. But I have to understand that is going to happen and have to draw a line at a sensible level that's going to work for my business. Okay? Yeah? So we need to be aware, don't we, that each step in our processes are going to have actions. So the interactions that people are going to have with it. People are going to do something. So my customer is going to ring me to place an order, or are they going to email, or are they going to use a web bot? What are you looking to do? And these actions are key because they will drive the efficiency of your process. Your triggers are the automated pieces, aren't they? So, when I press this button, what happens, right? Is it going to initiate that an invoice is going to get sent out, that an order is going to go to manufacturing? Kind of things like that. And then your data points. So this is the data that's gathered throughout it. And it might not be all data that you're thinking about. It might not just be the form data. Your triggers could well elicit something. And they likely will. Date time values for triggered at this date time, completed at this date time. Those are kind of steps as well that you're going to want to consider. When you're doing processes, though, one of the areas that you need to be thinking about is your process improvement and your process efficiency in particular, right? And there's two main areas that we look at for doing this. There's the data mining side, where we can look at the data, and then there's the business process management side, so business process management with BPAs. What you want to be looking at now, though, right, is process mining. Okay, process mining is that combination of the two, and it gives a much richer experience than just business process management on its own or data mining on its own. And I know some business process managers who be like, I hate you now, I don't like you for saying this. They're not all Irish, but, the accent works well. So what's the comparison of these? Yeah, so if we're looking at a data-focused view, we can find that we've got plenty of that, isn't it? Both process mining and data mining, of course, are data-focused. And then we've got the process focus. Now, the reality is that what process mining does, and I'm not going to get into this in this video series, but what process mining does is it takes the data points that are generated by a process and analyzes them and builds a process based on actually what is happening. And that's the key. So your business process management will be able to say, this is your process diagram. It goes from here to here to here to here. Right? And the efficiency of that process diagram is difficult to properly evaluate without bringing data to the table. Right? Data mining just looks at the data and goes, well, the data says this. But there's not the context because you're not overlaying that with a business process management side of this is the process that should be happening. Process mining is automated and will build the process and you can see what's happening. But because it builds it in a way that a business process management team can understand, it really focuses your mind and you can see straight away, this step's inefficient. These actions we need to review. And that's where the value for this one really comes through. So, business process management is key now. And one of the things that you always want to do is have your BPM teams, your BPAs, handheld with some process mining. Okay? So the last thing, I've got some homework for you this week. Yeah? So the thing to remember is when you go and you're looking and you find a process, what do we need to do? We need to document the process. And then what do we need to do? We need to evaluate the process. So we need to get into this mindset and a process around a process, right? A process that will allow us to, when we encounter processes within our businesses, to actually go through a structured approach to document that process and evaluate that process, knowing that that act of documentation might well uncover, and more than likely will uncover, sub-processes that will require further documentation and evaluation as well. Huh? So what if you reckon then, right? Does that really sum it up? It's a bit of blue sky thinking, isn't it? Your processes are everything to your business, right? Your business efficiency hangs on the processes that you have. Okay, if your processes are driving inefficiencies, you will find that across your business. What you need to be doing is looking, as part of your data culture, identifying weaknesses in your processes and then rapidly putting in place fixes to those weaknesses and then evaluating rapidly if they're successful. Yay! Not successful. Well, okay. And the biggest thing, the biggest issue that we see in a data culture as it's moving forward comes down to that. Okay. So a data culture will drive improvements in your business because you are using data to drive a decision-making process about it. Because that is happening, and even with the best will in the world, your success rate is not going to be 100%. Okay? Yeah, it's not going to happen. The key, though, is that because you're focused on the data, the idea is that you can detach egos from that as much as possible. So it's not a case of, we're going to keep going, it's going to work, give it another 6 months. Right? You're looking, it's not working. Tell you what, you'll give it another couple of weeks. If it's, we don't see an upturn, we'll go back to the way we did it before, yeah? No worries. Right? At least we tried, though, is kind of the thing. Right? The act of trying means that you will know more about your process and the hidden drivers that affect your process than you would do if you hadn't done anything. So even a failed, in inverted commas, improvement attempt is a success because you know more about what's going on around your business and what affects your business. So the classic one I like to bring, right, and it's one you hear a lot, American Airlines, in the 80s, they took an olive out of the first class salads, right? Saved $60,000, right? They needed to save millions, right? That was a drop in the ocean in terms of the savings. It was a big one, and it's one that people go, wow, hey, if that had led to $100,000 loss in airfare, that wouldn't be a success, would it? So it's one of those where if customers had started saying, I need my 2 olives in my salad, not 1, or I think it was 3 it was before in the doctor, I can't remember now. The key is you need to be able to evaluate success and failure. And failure isn't an issue. Failure in this context is part of the process because it's all about learning what impacts your business and how you can better drive growth and expansion. Yeah. So don't forget then, like and subscribe down below. Head on over to geordieintelligence.co.uk, become a member, sign up to some of our courses. We've got the great Introduction to Power Query course, absolutely fantastic course to do. Right? And enjoy the rest of your week. Take care of yourselves. Ta-da.